And welcome to week 6 of the Chicago Clubhouse. This is the sports show where, we think we know what we're talking about, but we really don't know shit. Again, my name is Emilio Bucks, and I'm your host today. And joining me, as usual, is the lady, Miss Kristen Pertise. And once again, rounding out the trio, Southside Zone, the notorious T-Nick.
What's up?
Nothing much, my brother. See, I contributed. I'm helping you with that this week. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, hey, we're going to do it. We're going to make it intentional. We're just going to do it. All right. So, it's been almost about a week now, but, we're still kind of buzzing from that last game last Thursday. Bears, again, I'm going to keep saying it. We are 4-1. Like it or not, 4-1 is 4-1. This ain't no BCS bullshit where was it a real 4-1? Like, no, 4-1's 4-1 with the big boys. So we beat Tom Brady. Was that a statement game? What would you say about that, T-Nick?
Hell no, that wasn't no statement game, man. We lost that game because Tom Brady got dementia.
We won.
But I'm saying we won that game. They lost that game because he had dementia. Otherwise, they would have won that. They would have won that shit.
So you fully blame it on dementia?
No, I was really kidding. But it was not a statement game. The Bears just barely won by the skin of their teeth.
1 point.
Run game was horrible. Absolutely horrible. I don't know what Nagy was thinking. He totally got away from the running game. The wide receivers, they still dropping passes, man. Getting passes took. It's terrible. We did have a Jimmy Graham sighting, which is good. But where's Cole Kmet?
Where's that too?
Yeah. And the offensive line, they're not really creating holes to run. So that's why the run game is bad, but then they're not really creating passing lanes for Nick Foles. And so he didn't look great. He looked okay, but he didn't look great.
No, like, very sloppy in the beginning.
Very, very. It took him a while to get going. So, I mean, that wasn't a statement game.
And then we lose Daniels. That's going to hurt us.
That hurt. So, I'm thinking maybe, they have to grab Le'Veon Bell to spark their running game. But then again, he's a troublemaker, man.
Yeah, but, man, what are we trying to do? We trying to rehab guys to win football games. I know, but the Bears, they all on this, like, what kind of a guy is he? They're character guys. And, like, I'm in favor of signing the guy. You know what I mean?
It's not much of a risk because they don't have to pay much because the Jets are going to have to pay the salary.
Yeah.
If you don't like him, you can cut him. So, you have to take into account where he came from with Adam Gase. Is he going to be what he was in probably 2017? No. Could he help? Sure. Is he the answer? Not completely. But you really have to think of, will Le'Veon Bell want to come here for 5 to maybe 10 carries a game if he's trying to rehab his career, restart his career for another contract next year, because we know Nagy and running isn't his thing. So
yeah. And there's a lot of teams out there that's willing to probably throw a lot of money to extend him in more years. Maybe the Patriots. And, and that's something we know this Bears organization does not do. They do not throw money at anybody. So, Kristen.
But it wouldn't even cost much, so they should try it.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't cost much this year, but there's some teams out there that would pay him whatever that little bit this year and say, okay, we'll get you 2 more years too. Like, they'll just
not gonna do that.
Bears are not gonna do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Should they? I don't know that they should. If all of the teams that are interested in him are kind of like, kicking the tires and not going to commit, then sure, we should get in that race. But I don't
Jets
know.
been trying to trade him since last year.
Yeah, so there's something to that. So, Kristen, statement game? Yes? No? Maybe?
Well, not really, but the defense did come to play. And
You didn't say no. She was like, not really.
not really. They did come to play. There were the Bucks did help them in their come to play. Kyle Fuller put on a hit for the ages, like that looked like old school Bears.
I look like football.
Defense, yeah.
Hey!
I look like football.
That was great. Khalil Mack, your favorite, made appearances. They,
He's my favorite when he plays like that. Yeah.
It helps that Tom Brady can only take a step here or there, and his offensive line just seemed to fall apart all of a sudden.
Hey, he asked Tom Brady how that dirt tastes.
Yeah, so, like when Khalil Mack just did that hip toss like he was in wrestling.
Hey.
That one guy, that was great. That was a great wrestling move.
He hit him with the iron sheet joint. Like that rook. Yeah.
So I think the Bears let it be known that they are a top defense in the league. But I still want to see them do that for 4 quarters.
Whole game.
Yeah, with a little more of a mobile quarterback, which we'll see coming up this week.
Yeah, and Teddy Bridgewater, that team's still a little one-dimensional without McCaffrey, but Teddy Bridgewater.
Mike Davis. Revenge game.
Mike Davis.
The Bears are going to be saying, help me, help me.
Is that the front 4 behind you? Because Mike Davis?
That is him. Help me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mike Davis.
Look, running backs do have a way of being mediocre to terrible here and then going elsewhere, and also being mediocre and terrible, but being amazing when they play us. But actually, Mike Davis has been pretty good this year, but I don't know.
What was all of that?
What's up?
What was that? You just said.
When they're here and they leave here, they become great. Then when they come back to play against the Bears, they're still great.
Thank you.
The running backs, every running back that has played the Bears this year has had some very good moments. The Bears also get a little lucky that teams decide not to run anymore, because most of the success that teams have is running it down the Bears' throat, because unfortunately, Roquan Smith, tackling has not been his forte lately when they're coming right at him.
That tackling was horrible.
Yeah, like running backs are being able to run right past him or get out of his tackle. So
Phillip Rivers clowned him, right?
Yes, didn't he call him fat or something?
Turned the corner on your ass. He turned the corner.
So it's
Trevathan had to come in.
That's all Trevathan's been doing too. But the defense is the best part of this team still. And I kind of feel like Roquan has been stepping up. Like, I know he's not perfect. He's still a 3rd-year guy, but
still missing them tackles.
He's better. You are right, Emilio. He is better.
I feel like he is. Here's what I like about him. Is he's at least trying to step up in place of an aging, whatever it is, Trevathan. He sees what we're seeing with Trevathan too. And you could tell he's trying to step up, like, okay, OG is whatever, out of it, he's hurt, he's old, whatever it is, And I feel like I see Roquan trying to take the initiative and be better. And I know that only goes so far, like missed tackles. You don't get any, brownie points for effort if you miss some tackles. I get it, Gina. I get it. I see you down. Yeah, I see you nodding at me. All right. Just all right.
But I mean, the defense is the best, and I think winning ugly is just what it's gonna be.
There you go. You know what I mean? And is that something that we just need to accept? Like when we win,
I can't accept it.
I don't know if you have a choice. Like winning ugly. It's winning ugly. Here's what's good about winning ugly. Winning.
Tell me.
Winning.
You win.
But yeah,
that's the good thing. The rest of it doesn't matter when you win.
You could,
but I'd like to
not until the playoffs. Not at least for the playoffs.
just smash it down their fucking throat.
That's aggressive. But, yeah. But see, like, are you talking about the offense? Our offense can't smash it.
Yes.
For some reason, people thought that we were getting the second coming of Tom Brady when Nick Foles was starting. Okay, we weren't. Now, is he better than? He's better at this offense than what Mitch was. But still, it's not like we were going to start putting up 30 plus every week, because no one has Matt Nagy got his quarterback, but they still haven't built the line that Matt Nagy needs for what he's trying to do.
Man, Matt Nagy still hasn't called the right plays, because what he's trying to do probably won't work with his personnel. But hey, I was emotional in the game against Atlanta when he came in, and he threw 5 TDs. 2 of them got called back, but that was 5 TDs he threw. So give him that. But I knew I came down off of the high a couple of days later. Like I think most of us did, was like, wait, it's still Nick Foles. Yeah. There's a reason he's been with like 27 teams and 4 or 5 years.
And that was his first win in 6 tries or something.
Yeah, because he was like 0 for 4 in Jacksonville. Where was Jacksonville?
Yeah. He got hurt, then he came back, and then he got replaced.
I mean, the Bears have scored a total of 105 points in 5 games. Their opponents have scored a total of 100. So we've won 4 out of 5 games by a grand total of 5 points.
By a hair.
So that is winning ugly, like winning ugly.
But they're still 4-1.
Winning ugly AF.
Yeah, winning ugly.
That's okay as long as they win.
Winning is what it is. It is what it is.
Okay.
It's much sweeter on Monday after a Bears victory.
Absolutely, or last Friday, whenever it was. Yeah. But right about now, we're going to bring somebody in who probably has maybe a little bit more expertise on the matters of football and the Chicago Bears. Stay tuned and find out who that is. All right, and joining us this week in the Clubhouse, we have another special guest. This gentleman is a former wide receiver in the NFL, most notably for our Chicago Bears. He was an integral part of that 06 Bears team that went to the Super Bowl, by the way. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm Clubhouse welcome to Mr. Rashied Davis. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate you taking the time to come chat with the Clubhouse today, man. I know you're a busy man, and we always like to invite people in to give some more professional points of view on sports and all that is Chicago Bears football, because we really don't know shit. So, but before we get into football, or it's kind of football, actually, I'm gonna break script for a minute. And you were in with that Super Bowl team. Yeah. Now let me ask you, like, I know during halftime, y'all was probably like game planning and whatnot. But brother, did you get a chance to meet Prince?
Oh, heck no.
Oh man.
Heck no. And it was raining the whole time. Heck no.
Oh, man. He tore it down, man. I'm sorry, man. I
heard that it was amazing. My wife, everybody said Prince did a phenomenal job.
He did. He was out there. The perm was coming out and the rain, and took the rag off. Man. Okay. Anyways, now really before we talk about current Chicago Bears football, let's talk about some stuff that you're doing currently, some very important work that you are doing with the youth that I'd like you to just talk a little bit about. Like, I know you and your wife have something, a program called Saturday Place. And I'd like for you to just like maybe explain what Saturday Place is, first of all, and then just maybe a little bit of a backstory about what inspired you and your wife to spearhead this great program?
Okay, so Saturday Place is an enrichment program for 3rd and 4th grade Chicago public school students who are performing a year below grade level. Our aim is to get them at or above grade level by the time they leave our program. How we came up with Saturday Place is Saturday Place is pretty much like a microcosm of everything that I thought was what helped me become a successful individual, right? And I believe in self-society, right? I believe that we all have a responsibility to ourselves first to accomplish whatever we have for ourselves or whatever God has for us in our lives. And then once we've gotten a certain level of success, whatever that is, to then turn back and give that wisdom, time, treasure, talents back to the youth and to those that are dealing with those, for me, the same adverse circumstances that I grew up in. I grew up in South Central LA, one of 9 kids. My father was killed when I was 8 years old. I was around drugs, gangs, violence my whole life, right? So I felt like I needed to do something to sort of try to help those that are dealing with those adverse circumstances to try to achieve beyond what they see, right? And that's pretty much what Saturday Place is we provide them. It's called Saturday Place because it's a Saturday school program. And so our kids, corresponding with the school year, they're actually meeting right now. Everything's virtual. Typically, we have a partnership with UIC, and we bus our kids from Cesar Chavez Elementary School in the back of the Yards neighborhood and Burroughs, which is in Brighton Park. We bus our students from those 2 schools to UIC every Saturday. We pay for everything. We don't get any money from government or anything like that. We fundraise to raise the money to get our programs going and keep them going. And then they spend an entire Saturday with us, pretty much 6 hours, an entire school day. And we focus on reading, writing, social studies, and science. And we also provide them roughly every 4 to 5 weeks with field trips. Those field trips are designed to get them to see beyond their existing circumstances. Right?
Very important. Yeah.
Very important, right? We need inspiration. And so we want to teach them that they can be and do whatever they want to do, but they have to be disciplined and they have to be willing to work for it and wait on it. You know, one of the biggest problems I think we have as a society is we're like a microwave society.
Yeah. Yes.
Everything we want right it now. From food to our success. We want it now. You know, we look at our parents, or kids look at their parents' cars and say, I want my parents' car. Not realizing their parents worked for 40 years to get that car, to be able to afford that car, or to afford 20 years to afford that house.
Absolutely.
You know, to live in, you know, and
right. Even your story coming up through the college ranks and then you spent some time in arena football, your story just making it into the NFL, having a chance to play in the Super Bowl is just a phenomenal story. You know, and then just adding that with your upbringing and everything, man, you are definitely an inspiration, and man, salute for reaching back, man.
I'm blessed. I had some God-given talent. Thank God I found it, to be honest with you. And thank God I realized that my life was my responsibility. It wasn't anybody else's. It didn't matter what happened to me or whatnot. I had to figure out how to achieve whatever I could achieve given what I had, you know. And once I figured out that I could run fast and jump high, and that I was tough to handle the rigors of football, once I figured out I could handle being smashed and hit, and I didn't have to be this big, humongous player to, you know, to deal with it. Once I figured that out, and then I figured out that my heart was as big as my chest, and I could deal with whatever, and I'll go at whoever in order to get what I want, get what I need. Once I figured all of that out, and I started to work for it, and realized the importance of hard work and dedication to craft, and wanting to achieve higher than what I saw. Once I figured that out, then it was no stopping me. You know,
absolutely. It's about just having options and knowing what your options are.
You know, and you might only have one option. My only option was football at the time. That was it. That's all I knew. That's the only thing that I had. But the thing that was different for me than other players that I was playing with, people that I was playing with, was that I was willing to sacrifice those things that were necessary for me to have success, you know, and my everyday life was hard. So when people were talking about practice is tough, I'm so hot and I'm so tired. I'm like, you think this
like, man, right. You like going to the crib is tough. Like I rather, you know,
right. I might get shot tonight, you know.
right. I'd rather be in practice. Yeah.
And I don't even gang bang. I don't even bang and I get shot tonight.
Oh man, yeah, absolutely.
I might get arrested. I might get beat by the police. All of these things might happen to me on the way home. So when I'm at football was an oasis.
That's interesting. Yeah.
It's like, and I'm still that way to this day when it comes to sports being that thing that relaxes my mind. Athletics being that thing that relaxes my mind. Like reading a book, sitting down, reading a book, listening to a podcast, that doesn't do anything but make my mind go, you know, and make me start really thinking about social issues and all of that other stuff, right? Like it makes my mind start thinking about the injustices that are happening and how unfair life is and all of this. So I'm constantly on guard. But when I'm playing sports, it's just me having a ball, and I get to have a ball doing it. Even
right on. And just for anybody watching, definitely look up Saturday Place, especially if you have a youngster and needed help. Because I got a fourth grader. It's just luckily my wife's a teacher, so she can help him with a lot of that stuff. But yeah, third and fourth grade, I can remember that's when school really became school. So that was a very monumental time in grade school. I do remember. So man,
do you know why that is? You know why fourth grade is so important?
Why?
Fourth grade is so important because in our society, if you're not reading at grade level by the time you're at the end of fourth grade, you're 4 times less likely to graduate from high school.
Wow.
If you factor in poverty, you're now 13 times less likely to graduate from high school.
Wow.
You don't graduate from high school here in the United States of America, I don't care who you are, where you come from, there's a 70% chance you go to jail. That's the prison pipeline. Your wife probably knows that very well. Like, it's a very important year in a student's academic career. And so that's why it's very important for us to try to get these kids to where they need to be by then, because I'm personally trying to interrupt that school to prison pipeline. I'm trying to break it off.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I really would prefer in my lifetime to not be needed, for Saturday Place to not be needed. You know, for our school system to do what our school system should be doing, which is educate us and educate our kids so that we are a strong country for years to come and not still fooled by all of the BS that goes on and get tricked. And we're not able to be tricked, right? Like by a Donald Trump, you know, not to take you off into that area. But anyway.
The orange hole.
I like your t-shirt. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Everyone must do that, please.
Hold on, wait. You see what that said?
Remove stubborn orange stains. There you go.
Orange. Speaking of orange.
Great.
How it all ties together.
Right.
Hey, how it all ties together. Folks.
Man, that's crazy.
So, Rashied, you know, Saturday Place isn't the only thing you're working on. You've also are a board member of Hire 360.
Yes.
And, you know, you're talking about ending the school to prison pipeline. You're also, something that is near and dear to your heart is providing opportunities for older teens and older adults. So tell us about Hire 360.
So Hire 360, there are 4 important pillars to Hire 360. One is the hiring process, where we work to expand employment opportunities for people in lower income areas, as well as minority-owned businesses and women-owned businesses, right? And then there's the investment part of it, which is built around a vision of engaging an investment, right? Investing in these same communities, investing in these same minority and women-owned businesses to get them started and keep them going, right? And we're also providing working to provide mentorship and training in those areas as well. Then you have the reach aspect of it, which is where Hire 360 will reach and empower area youth by working, like we're working on a partnership with Dunbar High School, where we're going to put a program together. We're working on putting a program together to recruit young kids at Dunbar to train them, mentor them, those that are interested in construction and want to be in that, to show them that they can make $40 an hour within 5 years of like 40 an hour, right? So if you're a kid, so you're working and you're learning and you're getting into an apprenticeship programs and you're doing this throughout high school, by the time you leave high school for 2 or 3 years out of high school, you're now in a position to make $40 an hour.
Wow. And how much will they owe in student loan debt?
Zero. You know what I mean? Like zero. Student loan debt. And so we historically have been kept from these opportunities because of racism, we know, right? Because of they've kept these opportunities from us for whatever reason.
Well, we know the reason it is, but okay.
Yeah, well, we know the reason, but what we're trying to do at Hire 360 is break that apart, right? And we're trying to show these kids that these opportunities exist for you, right? You start here, you can end here, right? You can make $200,000 a year as a crane operator. And that's a few years out of high school. That's athlete money. That's what I made as a rookie in the NFL. So that's real dollars.
Real money.
Which makes a whole lot of sense, right?
Sure.
Pun intended. So
I got it.
Yes, sir.
Wrong profession.
Yeah, and then the last part is the E stands for empower, right? Hire 360 will model socially responsible hiring practices, right? As a way to transform communities, as well as transform these businesses, which have been historically hiring people that look like them, right? Just like what was it? Wells Fargo CEO recently said, you know, they can't find blacks who, you know, who are quality or educated well enough or whatever the hell he said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We know that to be false. We know that to be fake, you know, but these are the people that are in charge, right? So they need to be educated as well. They need to learn as well. Maybe you're not looking in the right places.
Right.
Yeah, or really looking at all.
Or most likely they're not looking at all, which is most likely that's the case. And so, in my opinion, we got to get them out. You know, those folks got to go. The old guard has to go.
Absolutely.
And the new guard has to come in. So,
you know, diversity and inclusion is, you have to be intentional about that.
Yeah,
you know,
I hate those two words though. By the way, I hate corporatees.
That's corporate. I do these meetings.
Corporate America, it's corporatees for, you know, let's make people feel good and whatnot. When really it's like let's be equal. It's equality. Like, let's be real. Let's treat people equitably. You know what I mean? Let's give everybody the same opportunities. We don't need diversity and inclusion if you actually treat people fairly, if you actually believe what you say you believe. You know, right now you have these, in my opinion, from what I see from the outside looking in, and not saying that people aren't doing good work, because my wife works in it and she talks a lot about it. But if you actually believe what you say, diversity and inclusion you shouldn't have to have a division for that. You should just hire the right people. You should give everybody an opportunity, right? You shouldn't be looking at a guy's resume and see the name Rashied and then throw that resume in the trash and discount it just because his name is Rashied.
Very true, but because they don't do that, you do have to have those programs.
Now, I'm not saying you don't have to have these things.
Because we don't have the right opportunities. We do have to have Saturday's Place. We do have to Hire 360. You know what I mean? And yeah, if it was a perfect world, we wouldn't need those things, but it is what it is. And I just commend your work and what you're doing, because yeah, in the perfect world, yeah, those things would be necessary, but we know what world we live in. You know, we're guests, we're renters here on this land. So, it is what it is, and we got to do extra things. Unfortunately, no, I don't need you to, I tell the other people, it's not about being treated equal. It's about being treated fairly. You know what I mean? Because I got way more steps to climb than you. So don't act like we're equal, because we're not. I'm talking about fair. And that's different. You know what I mean? If you're 2 steps ahead, well, don't be equal and say, oh, well, he got a better time. Like, well, that might be equal timing, but that's not fair. But hey, man, we can go all day about this, and this is just some very important stuff that you're doing. And again, I commend you and your wife for putting yourselves out there, man, and making these sacrifices, and not letting your story just go by the wayside. And so again, man, thank you, Mr. Davis. Appreciate that, sir.
Yeah, I thank you for staying in the city, because you saw this. There's a great need for what you're doing in this city.
Absolutely.
So thank you for.
I love Chicago. Chicago is probably the best city in America, at least. It's one of my favorite cities to ever be. It is my favorite city to have ever. I don't actually live in the city, so I don't want to claim the city because I'm from LA. And when people claim LA and they live in the burbs, I'm like, y'all ain't from LA.
So y'all do the same thing there.
Yeah, I don't want to do the same thing.
In Evanston, talking about, I'm from Chicago. No.
Yeah, I'm from Chicago.
From Orange County. Like, nah, bro, you're not from LA.
Nah, bro, you from Orange County, bro.
Yeah, you from Lancaster. You ain't from LA, brother. All right.
I live in the burbs.
I know them burbs out there. Yeah.
I love the city, and because the city has always treated me well. I love Illinois. I love Chicago, because in the Chicagoland area, because it's easy to be a Chicago Bear here, right? It's a lot harder for me to be a Chicago Bear back in my hometown.
Okay, rare. Because we love our Bears, and then current, old, everything. We love them all.
One of the things that kept me here was when I heard this. Well, this was once said to me when I was playing for the Bears, and we went to this YMCA, and we were tutoring some kids, and one of the teachers there said, some of these kids have never seen the lake. And I said, what? Never seen the lake? You mean that big ocean-like thing right out there? Like, you're literally a mile from the lake. They've never seen the lake. But
if
they
you
said,
stand on the rooftop, you can see the lake. You can see the lake.
They expanded on it and said, but not only them, their parents have never seen the lake, and their grandparents have never seen it.
That's why they haven't seen it, because
in person.
Take them. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and for me, that was a travesty, because I grew up in LA, and I didn't grow up near the beach, but I'd hop on the bike and ride across all dangerous territory. And I was like inland. I was by USC. If you know anything about LA, USC near the beach.
Right. Absolutely.
I grew up near USC, near where the Staples Center is now, near downtown LA. There ain't no beach near there.
No, sir.
But I rode a bike for hours to get to Venice Beach.
Right.
And then had to come back home. And we would walk, and we would ride the bus if we can afford the RTD. We called it the rough, tough, and dangerous. You know what I mean? If we could ride the rough, tough, and dangerous to the beach and get back. So when I heard that, I felt like we had to do something about it. Not only that, but some of the kids that we were tutoring they couldn't really read. And I'm like, I grew up in the hood, and I grew up in a very rough environment, and I can read. Like, I could read at a very young age. And I know we all have different circumstances, all have different learning abilities, but I just felt like something needs to be done. The school system is not doing what it should be doing. And so when my wife and I were able, when I could afford to, when I finally got my first big contract and I could afford to do something of my own, I wanted to know where my money was going. And that's how Saturday Place came about, because I didn't want to be subject to anyone else's bylaws and rules and whatnot. I wanted to make sure that every red cent that I worked my ass off to get, I wanted to know where every red cent was going.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So now I know where that money is going, and I know that money is going toward. I don't get paid a dime. I've never made a dime off of it. Never got into it to make a dime off of it. It's board member run. All of our board members don't make a dime. Never have. None of them want to make a dime off of it, right? So I know good people, and I've met great people along the way, and so we are doing our very best to try and make Chicago a more equitable place to live for everybody.
Right on, man.
So now let's get into sports. I talk too much about all this other stuff.
Man, that's good stuff, man. It's almost like, well, let's talk about something much less important. That's the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, how do you stay away from that?
Right.
Oh, well.
I told you I talk too much. I talk a lot.
Oh man, but you said, hey man, it was a lot of quantity, but the quality was there, man. The stuff that you're doing is amazing, and I love that you're showing passion about it, and you're explaining exactly what's going on. You know what I mean?
And we've all been in education. Like Emilio and I, we taught at the same school, and nonprofits. So all this is important to us as well.
Yeah, near to us. Yes. Absolutely.
The Bears are too, but we do love the kids, and the kids are important. But I guess enough about those kids. Right. How about those Bears?
Damn, those Bears. Sorry, kids, I love you.
Hey, we do. Speaking of some kids, let's talk about those Bears, man. Okay, man. 4-1. First of all, I can't.
Yes.
I can't say that enough. 4-1. So one thing we've all been talking about, everybody's been talking about, like the last two seasons, is kind of the run game. The offense has been the big question, right? The first 2 weeks, they seemed like they were using the run. It was like, wow, Nagy's calling all of these run game plays. He's really calling an even game. But after the first 2 weeks, it seemed like he just was like, nah, I can't take this. I can't take this balanced offense. And then he just like went away from the run game. What are your thoughts on that? Like, where we are, as a team on the offense, and Coach Nagy and his thoughts?
Offensively, I think the team is subpar. I think the run game is a big issue, and I think we have the ability. I think the team has the ability. They have the talent, to be able to run the ball. I think Montgomery is a good running back. I don't know the scheme that they're running well enough, but I don't think it's working. I don't think Nagy is using the talent that he has well enough in the run game. I also don't know about the O-line when it comes to blocking and creating holes for what they're trying to do. But here's the other thing that I think is a problem is running isn't sexy. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the sexy part of the game unless your running back is lighting it up, right? But it's not sexy. It doesn't score a lot of points, right? And I think the league a few years back has gone to this what Andy Reid loves to do, which is throw the ball all over the field. And Nagy, coming from that Andy Reid, coaching tree and system, I think he sees that and he knows that, and he has that same philosophy. It's hard to change a whole philosophy unless you already had this in your head that you didn't agree with all the stuff that he was doing, right? Like,
it's a copycat league, or every sport is.
Yes, that's what we say in our meeting rooms. It's a copycat league. You see somebody do something, you want to do it too, right? And then the league itself, when it comes to rules, has adopted that passing importance as well too, right? Like, you look and we say that quarterbacks are so important. Everybody says quarterbacks are so important, and you pay all of these quarterbacks crap tons of money, and you put all of this pressure on them to be what they're not, right? Like, I don't think Trubisky's a bad QB. I just don't know if he was or is ready to do what they were putting on his shoulders, which is throw the ball 52 times a game. You know what I mean? Like, there's very few quarterbacks in the NFL, very few, that can throw the ball 52 times a game
in history. Yeah.
And have success, right? Like,
yeah.
And have sustained success. Not have success in a game or two, but have sustained success. Look at those guys in history, the Dan Marinos. How many championships Dan Marino won? 0, right? Like, but Trent Dilfer got one.
Mm-hmm. Brad Johnson got one.
Brad Johnson got one.
Busters. Jay Cutler should have had one. Oh,
you know what I mean? But you look at Jay Cutler, you look at all of these guys they put. And there was a statistic when Jay was playing here that I heard where they won so many more games when he threw the ball 20 or less times, 20 or fewer times.
Mm-hmm.
But when he threw the ball 20 or more times, they lost the majority of those games.
I think they did that to Rex Grossman too. They made him throw too much.
I
love Rex.
I love Rex is my guy. Sexy Rex is my guy. I love Rex.
I love Rex.
A lot. Rex kept me here for a long time. I have some game-winning catches because of Rex. Rex is my dude. I love Rex.
Yeah, you had a big catch in that.
It was against the Vikings.
The Vikings. I called that play, by the way. I called that play.
Oh, yeah?
You did?
I did. All game I was calling that play. All game.
Oh, I love the backstory. I love the backstory.
Maybe you should call for the Bears now.
What you say? No, I shouldn't.
There's no other Rashied Davis on the team.
So anyway, in that game, it's a tight game. We're playing that game well. The cornerback, the nickel back, every time I come in, he's playing me outside leverage. And he won't. He's refusing to give me anything outside. But everything across over the middle, everything away from him, he's given up. Typically, he's got safety help, right? Darren Sharper, I think, was their safety back there then. So he still can't cover me, and I know that. I'm like, he can't do nothing with me. Y'all got to give me the rock. All right. We all always open. If you ain't open as a receiver, then you suck. You ain't good enough.
Okay.
Always open. I don't care if they next to you. I don't care if they draped on your back. I'm open. Throw me the damn ball.
Well, all right.
Real. Okay.
I got this. This is what you get. This is what I get paid to do. Anyway.
All right. Yeah. I love hearing that receiver talk.
So
fuck that. Yeah.
Outside leverage, and I keep coming back like, yo, he's playing outside leverage, and so we're jabbering back at each other all game. I forget the corner. He's a nickelback. I forget his name. And we're jabbering back at each other, and he finally he F's up and tells me, he's like, yeah. We know you like to run this route. We know we playing outside leverage the whole game. We taking away all of that. I said, oh, really?
Had your little pad out like,
oh,
right.
Okay.
Got you.
Light bulb.
Right.
So I go over to the sideline immediately. I'm like, yo, not only is he lining up outside me, and it has been all game, he just told me that's what they're doing. That's what they take away. Finally, they're like, yo, they call Cowboy Pump. Cowboy was a corner with a hitch route. So it's our smash concept. Smash is hitch on the outside, high-low basically. Make them jump on the low so we can throw the high route, which is a corner route. Or vice versa. If they take away the high, we throw the low. So Cowboy Pump is a corner post. So it's tell them we going this way and go that way. So
right. He
calls it after a timeout. Ron Turner calls Cowboy Pump, and I'm like so geeked and nervous at the same time. I'm so geeked. I don't even notice that I'm pacing the back of the huddle, like during this timeout. And I didn't know that. Only reason I know that now is because I was talking to Lance, which is one of my best friends, Lance Briggs.
Okay.
And he was like, yo, we knew you. I knew you was getting the ball. Like, we knew you was getting the ball. You know how I knew you was getting the ball? Because you was pacing the back of the huddle. If they was paying attention, they'd have knew you was getting the ball. So anyway, they call a play. Rex snaps it. He says, I ran my little corner. He jumps it, run the post. I'm wide open by like 5 yards. I'm thinking, just get here. Throw the ball, Rex. Throw the damn ball. Throw the ball, Rex. And it gets there. I'm wide open. I do my touchdown celebration. We win the game.
Nice.
I remember that.
Good.
Oh man, I can remember that play.
Yes.
That was my
Awesome,
first
dude.
big play in the regular season.
Yo, man, the
That
back
was my
story.
first NFL touchdown in the regular season.
All
That's
right.
awesome. That's awesome.
It was fun. But yeah, Nagy, back to Nagy. Nagy needs to run the ball more, in my opinion. I think we spend too much time and we put too much pressure on quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks, to go out and throw the ball 52 times a game. And I don't think it's a sustainable way to win. The way you win championships in this league historically has been, except for maybe last year, and because Kansas City has this extraordinary quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, he's extraordinary. There ain't nobody like him. People want to be like him. But you look at historically, when Drew Brees throws the ball 52 times a game, how many championships they win?
Yeah.
When Drew Brees has a strong defense and a good running game, how many championships they got? They got championships in those areas, right? You look at Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest quarterbacks, in my opinion. He's phenomenal. He's probably the best, most athletic. He can do anything. He's probably the best quarterback in the league. He's arguably the best quarterback in the league.
Arguably.
When it comes to intelligence and ability.
We will only argue it because of the team he plays for.
Yeah, I know.
You're right. Emo, tucking it.
Patrick Mahomes left it up for everybody because he's. But you look at him, how many championships they got? When did they win a championship? They had a good run game, and they had a good defense. They had a great defense. They had a really good defense that could take the ball away. When we went to the Super Bowl and lost, we had a great defense. We had a phenomenal special teams, and we had offense. Our offense was probably ranked 15. I was on that offense. We were ranked middle of the pack. We didn't have a life-changing quarterback, right? Trent Dilfer, not a life-changing quarterback. Brad Johnson, not life-changing quarterbacks, right? These are guys that manage the game well, and there's no disrespect to them. They have talent, plenty of talent. But you don't need the best quarterback in the league to win a championship. What you need is a phenomenal defense, which we have. You need a strong special teams that can cover kicks. Well, nowadays you don't even have to cover kicks you got to cover punts. You don't have to cover kickoffs that much. You need a kicker, kick the ball through the uprights, and we kick the ball out the back of the end zone, right? You don't have to cover kicks as much. There's not a lot of strategy in that. Devin Hester wouldn't be Devin Hester now.
Wow,
right?
Good point. Wow,
he would still be great. He would still
make the opportunities, though.
Yeah. He wouldn't have the same amount of opportunity. Look at Cordero Patterson. That boy is taking the ball out the back of the end zone. That's how great he is. Cordero Patterson's phenomenal.
Yes,
that's how great he is.
Thanks.
Yo, that's the guy. Jump in here, T-Nick, about Stephen Core.
Yeah, so he's a beast. But yeah, when it comes to we need to run the ball more. We need to figure out a system that works for the running backs that we have. And we don't need to throw the ball 52 times a game because you can't play. You got to play keep away in this league. The only way you're going to stop Patrick Mahomes is to not give him the ball.
Like the Raiders did.
Right. Yeah, you don't give him the ball.
Right.
He can't hurt you. But you give him the ball because you go down and score too quickly. You know what I mean? You give him the ball because of whatever reason you commit turnovers and all of that other stuff. He's eventually going to figure you out. And once he figures you out, you're toast. Like, you're done.
Yeah, that Raiders game, they almost had the ball the entire third quarter.
Yes.
Because that's the only way to stop him, is to keep him on the sideline.
It was the same thing with Peyton Manning, though. When Denver beat Peyton in not Denver, it was Denver in the Super Bowl.
He was on Denver, right?
No. He won the Super Bowl with Denver. But he was who was he? No, it wasn't when he was with Denver. Who did he lose to?
Because I know he lost, didn't they? Like, because one time they snapped the ball and it went over his head, and wasn't that when it all went downhill?
He lost to the Seahawks.
To the Seahawks, yeah. When you talk about when the Seahawks beat him in the Super Bowl,
yeah.
What did they do to him? They kept the ball from him.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't. They had Marshawn Lynch. Nobody could stop Marshawn. They ran the ball well. They controlled the clock. They controlled everything. And so by the time Peyton got the ball, it's 6 minutes left in the quarter? Now he's got to push the ball downfield. He can't take check downs. He can't just take.
And I think that's the problem with the Bears is we always, we end up playing from behind. And that's not because of the defense. It's because we're not scoring any points in the beginning.
We're not
forcing the quarterback to have to throw it. And we don't have that type of quarterback. And Nick Foles or Mitch,
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what Matt Nagy wants to do is throw. He said, I didn't come here to run the I formation. So he's like saying, I didn't come here to really run the ball. I'll run it a little bit to set up a play action once in a while. But he considers those little 3-yard passes part of his run game.
Wow.
Well, he better pray to God that Patrick Mahomes drops into his lap.
Well, he does like to throw the ball a lot, but your receivers got to catch it. They got to catch the ball.
They got receivers though.
They got receivers. They got receivers, but let's take A-Rob for example. A-Rob is not making a good case for himself right now. As far as like getting extended, he's dropping passes, man. He's getting the ball took from him.
But A-Rob is balling. He's a monster. You let A-Rob go. Who else you got?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got Anthony Miller, who's also regressing a little bit.
Who else you got? I like it. I love Anthony.
No one.
Miller's a beast. But Anthony Miller is not Allen Robinson.
No,
not at all. Not by any stretch.
Not by any stretch of the imagination, right? You got Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham is not the Jimmy Graham from New Orleans. He ain't been the Jimmy Graham from New Orleans for a long time. And the history on Jimmy Graham is when you rough Jimmy Graham up, Jimmy Graham, he ain't a beast no more.
Yes, that's true.
That's the history, right? Like
he's real light skinned and got that real light hair.
Well, you got light hair too. That's colorism.
Hey man, I ain't got light hair. I'm light skinned, but
you are pretty light.
I said you got to have a light skin and a light hair.
What? So of course you got to make it so it doesn't fit you.
Of course. Why would I call myself out? That's why I couldn't marry a blonde because I can't have them, Jimmy Graham looking kids. Anyway.
Oh man, you can have model kids though,
Oh yeah, I got some model looking kids. I ain't gonna lie. Anyway,
so we get back
I do think sometimes Allen Robinson jumps when he shouldn't, like that last game. There was no need to jump when that interception happened. I didn't understand his jumping.
You know what? Sometimes I will say that. Well, sometimes we do as receivers misread passes. We misread whether or not we should jump.
Okay.
Or we jump too soon, like Jimmy Graham did that a couple games ago.
Yeah.
Right.
So he was coming down as the ball was coming toward him.
Now that's understandable, but now what Robinson did, he jumped, but he caught it like down low. So it was like, why did you
use that all the time? Don't jump to catch a ball in your chest.
Right. And it was almost in his crotch by the time he jumped. So it was like,
I wonder, was he expecting it? Was the pass actually supposed to be higher for him to catch, and he just automatically started jumping? Because he's so used to having to make those type of catches.
I don't remember the play, so I can't quite say.
Right.
It was just really
it was
weird.
Odd that he had jumped.
And his knee popped the ball out, and then it was intercepted.
Like that's how low it was when he jumped. That's why it was weird. It was like, why'd you jump? That was like right here for you.
I think that sometimes what also happens too, depending on where you are. Now I'm not saying I can't picture this play, so I can't tell you what he was thinking, what I think he was thinking. But I think also sometimes when you're catching the ball over the middle, and Randy Moss used to do this, and so did Terrell Owens. When the ball was over the middle of the field, you're thinking about protecting the football and also protecting yourself, right? So when you jump to catch a ball in your chest on a slant route or something over the middle of the field when there's defenders around you, you sort of cradle the ball and you're protecting the ball as well as yourself. So if you're sticking your hands out like this, a defender can come and strip that hand away, right? And then you're stuck with one hand trying to catch the ball. So yes, you want to reach out and pluck the ball, like my coach used to say, pluck and tuck. Pluck the ball and tuck it away at the same time. Try to do it. But that being said, it's harder to do sometimes in traffic. So you want to try to cradle the ball. And so I'm still a believer in not jumping to catch a ball in your chest. Never jump to catch it. If a ball is at your face or in your chest, pluck that thing, pull it out of the air, whatnot. That being said, some receivers have a different mindset when it comes to, I need to protect this ball from the defender, and I have a big body. I don't have a big body. I'm 5'9", 185 pounds. Well, I'm a little heavier than that now. But
it's COVID. It's the COVID way. We all heavier.
With those bigger guys sort of try to box guys out, and so they use their body as like a way to keep a defender from getting to the ball.
Gotcha.
And so he's a bigger receiver. He's not a giant receiver, but he's a bigger receiver. So he could have been thinking that. I don't know. I'm not here to make excuses. You got to make the play no matter what you do. And when you don't make the play.
I mean, I think he was thinking Sports Center top 10.
Okay.
No, but I don't know. Maybe not. You know better than us. I don't know shit. I would have ran to the side, out of the way of the ball, because I didn't want any part.
You're not taking a hit.
I'm not taking a hit. I don't even want the ball coming that fast at me.
I'm just gonna swat it away when it's coming. Like, here,
I'm just gonna sit here and talk shit about guys who can do something way better than me. But
so Rashied, what do you say your 3 keys to winning this game against the Panthers would be based on everything you've already seen the Bears do?
The 3 keys to winning the game. We got to stop Mike Davis. He's running the ball really well.
Revenge game.
Mike Davis?
Yeah.
I told you he's like in the top. He's in the top 10 in several.
I mean, he's okay, but
you see what he did last week? You see what he did the week before?
Huh?
You see what he did last week and the week before? Like, he is toting the rock.
He's having a good game.
He didn't really fit. He didn't really fit.
He's
here, or you know what I mean? Like,
because Christian McCaffrey is gone.
Yeah, because Christian McCaffrey is gone. But that also speaks to that offensive line, right? That offensive line must be damn good. It's not just Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey's a beast. But that offensive line must create significant space for running backs to, get loose, basically.
Yes, absolutely. Like I love Emmitt Smith, but so much of his success was because of that O-line.
That O-line did what it did. You know what I mean? So I think that's one. You got to stop the running game. Play action is going to be key to that. So you got to prepare for the play action. And you got to get off the field on third downs. So I think stopping the run game and getting off the field on third downs are 2 of the big things that they need to do. And on offense, they got to be able to sustain drives, right? Nick Foles can't start slow. He can't do what he did last week. Last week he started slow and then sort of started to pick it up. You know what I mean? He's got to get started early and be able to sustain. They got to score touchdowns. They can't just score field goals. And he's got to also find every other receivers other than Robinson, right? Like, he's finding Robinson very well. It's not that hard, but somebody's going to take away Allen Robinson. When they take away Allen Robinson, then what do you have? So he's got to figure out how to get the ball on a consistent basis. I'm not talking a play here, a play there. He's got to figure out a way to get the ball to other guys, and those other guys have to make plays when their opportunity comes. Like, Miller is a beast. So is that new young cat, Mooney. I like Mooney a lot too. Mooney's a beast. And then Jimmy Graham is going to have to do what he does, especially in the red zone. Make those tough catches. That catch he made last week was phenomenal. It reminded me of
it was.
Great catch.
he was with New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
That one-handed grab, like he's got to do that for them because they're going to double team Allen Robinson in the red zone. You know, now they're going to start probably double teaming Jimmy, right? So they double team Jimmy. Allen's got to make the play. So Foles has to figure out before he snaps the ball, who's getting that double team? One of them is. One of them's going to get it. It's either going to be A-Rob or it's going to be Jimmy Graham. And he's got to figure out how to find those other pieces when that happens. In the run game, they have to run the game. They have to run the ball better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Nagy, in my opinion, has to get over the fact that I didn't come here. That whole statement, I didn't come here to run the ball, yada, yada, yada. Who's the most winningest coach in the NFL right now? Who's been to the Super Bowl more than anybody else? Bill Belichick. What's Bill Belichick's philosophy on everything? When he goes into a game, in that game, we can run the ball, we will run the ball 100 times.
Yeah, they do run a lot.
You know what I mean? Like, even when he had Tom Brady, who is one of those few quarterbacks in the league that could throw the ball 52 times and still win a game on a consistent basis. When he had Tom Brady, if the game plan said, run this ball 52 times in this game, they would run the ball 52 times in that game. You know, if
do what it takes to win. Who cares what it looks like?
Who cares what it looks like? So I think a lot of coaches get in their head, it needs to look this way.
So in his head, yeah.
Who the hell cares? I don't give a shit.
If you're winning, you're gonna look great.
Yes.
Regardless of how you win.
That's why I say 4-1 is 4-1.
Thank you.
I know a lot of people that like good teams find a way to win, bad teams find a way to lose.
Atlanta, we saw that.
Detroit.
Who else? San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like teams that keep getting up
mm-hmm.
and then lose games at the end. But here's the thing when it comes to the Bears, though. They'll be able to beat average and bad teams that way when it comes to the playoffs. And they may win. I think they can win 10 games. You know, I think the Bears win 10 games. They go to the playoffs. Minnesota's crap. Detroit's crap, right? So I think NFC North has two teams that can go to the playoffs. Green Bay's definitely going to the playoffs, and the Bears have an opportunity to go as well. So when they get to the playoffs, playoff teams aren't going to beat themselves.
Yeah, we saw that 2 years ago when they went up against Philly.
Yeah, no, good teams aren't going to beat themselves. So you're going to have to beat them. You're going to have to out-execute them. So if you don't beat them and you don't out-execute them, you'll be out of the playoffs real quick. You know? But other teams will. There are enough bad teams around the league. Like Tampa's not a bad team, but Tampa beat themselves. Let's not kid ourselves in this respect. Like Tampa, if on at least one of those drives where they were stopped because the headbutt, you know, he was back 15 yards.
Right.
That drive was going extremely well. The Bears weren't stopping them.
That's why Brady was so pissed.
Yes, they decided themselves and get pushed back 15 yards and get pushed back another 10 yards for holding or whatever else.
So let me ask you, has the Bears actually beaten anybody this year? Again, 4-1.
Yeah, they beat 4 teams.
Convincingly?
Decisively beat somebody. They've not decisively beat anybody.
They beat 4 teams. They've lost to 1, but they've had help along the way. Now that team. There is a little bit of luck involved. I am a believer that luck is when preparation meets opportunity. That being said, the ball still has to bounce your way in some instances. There is a little bit of luck in life, right? Like there's things that are unexplainable. And so the Bears have had, they've had some luck along the way, and they've pounced on that luck and they've won. But when we're talking long-term success, the real success that we're looking for beyond getting kicked out of the playoffs in the first round, you know, or beyond going to the second round, getting kicked out of the playoffs in big games, you know, they're going to have to produce on the offensive side of the ball.
Absolutely. Man, I would love to just be in person with you and have a glass of bourbon and just hear so many more stories. I know you have to tell, man, but you know, we gotta keep it moving, man. Rashied Davis, man, thank you so much for coming in here and chopping it up with us. Again, Saturday Place, Higher 360. Man, you please, you got to come back because we're gonna have a whole show with just actually we're gonna mute our mics and just put you.
Let she do it.
Yeah.
Don't do that. I'll come back, but I got
man.
Next time I'll shut up and I'll
No.
We want more stories.
We want more stories. We want
gonna be story time with She.
Yes.
Right.
Maybe that'll be our own segment.
There you go. Story time with She segment.
You know,
there we go.
Just like you know, Rick James had his bit on Chappelle. Well, you know what I mean.
I'll make sure I have a little bit of my bourbon of choice with me because I talk a lot more. I'm a jovial drinker.
Here's jovial drinking.
Yes.
Shout out to T Nick for sleepy drinking.
Yeah. Shout out for that water you got there. Yeah.
Hey, Rashied Davis, brother, appreciate you again, man. And man, you gotta come back, man.
My cousin who played for USC back in the day. You look almost exactly like him.
Me?
No, T Nick.
Me? I do.
Exactly. His name was Jesse Davis. He played for USC when they unfortunately for you all, they beat Northwestern in the Rose Bowl. This is way back in the day, way back in the 90s. But you look like my cousin Jesse. His name is Jesse Davis.
College wise, I really only root for U of I. You know, I used, you know, yeah.
We all have our faults.
We all have our faults. Hey, I'm a Bears fan, so hey, there you go. All right, man.
And a Sox fan.
And it's hey, all right, now this is getting personal here.
And I'm a Sox fan too.
Okay, so it's okay. You've
been drinking too much.
I haven't been drinking enough, to be honest. I've had a very rough day. But okay, Rashied Davis, thank you, brother. And you enjoy the rest of your evening, man. You take care, sir.
Enjoy the rest of your show.
Appreciate you, bro.
Man, we'll do. Appreciate you. Okay, and let's just take some time to switch gears a little bit. We got some other news going on and some other sports in the city. White Sox are in search. They put out an ad on Indeed. I think Hot Jobs. Is Hot Jobs still out there? I think I saw some on there. And they're looking for a new skipper and a new pitching coach. I mean, again, I mentioned last week, I'm not the type of person to say, you know, I told you so. But I did say I told you so last week. So what's the harm in saying it again? Yeah. I told you so that this was coming because it's just necessary. Hey, with all due respect to Ricky Renteria, I mean, man, he's such a good man. He's like that he's like the good friend of the beautiful woman who just we can date for a minute, but once I figure out how to do my makeup and my hair, I'm going to get somebody better.
I don't need you anymore.
I don't need you anymore. Like, you know, poor guy, but respect to Ricky Rentz, but he had to go. Now, this is an exciting part, you know, when we're looking for a new coach. There's some names floated out there, some that I like, and one in particular I don't like. Anybody?
Tony La Russa?
Tony La Russa? Kristen, you I know you're really good at keeping track on the Twitter feeds. What's the latest on that? Is there traction on this thing, Tony La Russa?
Well, they've gotten permission, and
permission.
some of the rumors are, well, he is with, I forgot what he's doing with another team.
They had to get permission from the old folks' home to say, I know it's COVID. Can we come interview this guy?
There are the stories that he says that he, some people think maybe he's only interested in coming to coach if he can coach for his buddy, Reinsdorf.
He's as old as Reinsdorf.
Yeah, I mean, I think
if you're going by what Rick Hahn said with recent championship experience, that's not him because his last was like 2011.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's 97 years old too, and I just worry about the travel. We're looking at probably like a full, 180 whatever games next year. So I don't know.
Hey, you just moved. Oh, because you're talking about playoffs.
No, I'm talking about the show, baby. The show, baby. I mean, we went to the playoffs this year. We got bounced out. That's fine. So next year, this is World Series of Buzz, baby.
They're an attractive team because they're ready to win.
Hey, we're one like big free agent pitcher away. We need a solid number. I'm going to say a solid number 3 guy. We need that solid number 3 starter, especially come playoff time when that rotation
will be it when he comes back.
Well, I'm sorry.
You don't think Michael Kopech can slide into that when he returns?
Yeah, see, I don't know. Like, I'm always weary because when you look at the past and the championship teams of the past, especially like your Cubs, it always took that one extra, and it was never due coming off of especially a pitcher. It wasn't a starting pitcher coming off of an injury. It was like, okay, we got to sign somebody. Even with the Cubs, it was like, wow, who knew that it would be John Lester? But they wound up signing Chapman. You know what I mean? It's got to be like a splash.
I wouldn't count Chapman as Chapman. I thought you were talking about
no. I'm talking about Araldis.
Yeah. Araldis Chapman. Yeah, that is true.
That was a big splash. You know what I mean? And
he's very crucial.
Yeah, and you need like a crucial guy who's gonna besides for the new skipper, you need. Well,
you got Dallas Keuchel. He's your John Lester. So now you need to sign your big time closer, big time bullpen arm. Or you say you don't trust Michael Kopech.
I don't trust him I'd rather him go down to like the 4th spot, especially come playoff time. You know what I mean? Like with what they have lined up right now, besides Gio, Dallas in that 1 or 2 spot, who they got? Like, I need a new guy, that heavy hitter who could be a number 2 guy, but he ends up being the number 3 on the Sox team. Like,
because 1 or 2 is so strong.
Yeah. So I just feel like you're gonna need to, and we spoke with Rashied about this, about John Garland, because they had those guys lined up. That 1 through 3 was crucial.
Well, I think Quintana might be available next year.
We had him, and there's a reason we don't have him anymore. Just saying. Yeah. I don't think. Yeah. I think we're good.
Actually, it's not like the Cubs. The Cubs still need pitching.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like who doesn't, right? You know what I mean?
Now, the one person that they really think is high on their list, but they can't talk to till after the World Series is AJ Hinch. You would be okay with that one?
I would. And I would also be very okay with Alex Cora. I kind of prefer Alex Cora over AJ Hinch, but I'd take AJ Hinch too. I mean, 2 proven guys. World Series.
Are you giving sign language?
The sign stealing.
I was like, what?
Actually, they were beating a drum or a garbage can.
Yeah, two taps. Here comes the slider.
I mean, hey, you know what? Hawk Harrelson, he said, hey, if he ain't cheating, he ain't trying.
So did Mark Grace.
Hey, you know what I mean? I mean, like baseball, it's a history and a culture of cheating in baseball. It's like poker or cards. Baseball is the cheating man's sport.
I mean, what sport isn't always trying to get the edge by doing something a little?
Yeah, I mean, true, but none more than baseball. I mean, some of the things we've seen, baseball players do to cheat from your boy. You said Sammy Sosa with the cork bats and guys filing balls down and putting salve on the ball. I mean, it's a cheater's game. And hey, I love baseball. I don't like cheating, but you gotta take the good with the bad. You know what I mean? So hey.
You really made that sound horrible.
What?
It's a cheating game. You're a cheater. You're a winner if you're a cheater. If you're not cheating, you ain't doing that.
I said if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
The steroid era did not turn me off from baseball. That was one of the greatest eras.
The most exciting eras.
Entertainment.
Young and old.
You could not beat that entertainment during.
And then when you found out, well, the pitchers are using too. So
right when everyone's like, it's not a level playing field.
Yes, it
and
was.
Then you found out it wasn't all the people who got big that were on roids.
No,
there's 103 people on that. Yes, there's 103 people on that list. There weren't 103 people who look like Mark McGwire and Sammy
or
Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
So
yeah. There were regular looking guys like Gary Matthews Jr.,
Luis Gonzalez,
Rafael Palmeiro,
Brady Anderson. There was a little short guy. I can't remember his name. He used to play for the Orioles.
Clemens.
Yeah.
Pettit.
But exactly. Did Mike Mussina too? But I don't. Maybe I'm wrong on him.
You could tell Clemens was on it. You could tell Clemens.
But that was some of the most entertaining baseball.
In hindsight, maybe. But hey, I'm a fan. I just want to see a good game.
And chicks dig the long ball.
Chicks dig the long ball.
Chicks dig the long ball.
Chicks dig the. I mean, hey. Remember in '98 when you come home, like it wasn't did the Cubs win?
You were
Sammy hit a home run.
The race.
It was they would interrupt news, they would interrupt programs to show you when they hit home runs. I mean, I
remember in the Sun Times back when I used to read newspapers, they had a tracker every day. It was Sammy, McGwire, and for about half of the season, Ken Griffey Jr. Because he was in the race for a while, but then after a while, he kind of dropped off, and then it was just Sammy and McGwire. They had to give it to the big redhead, whatever. Anyway, so more action, more news in Chicago sports. Some news from the ice. Let's talk a little Blackhawks. Longtime Blackhawk Corey Crawford, not resigned. It's a business situation you can kind of understand, but just for a fan and Kristen, I know you knew a little bit more about this, but
well, they wanted to go younger, and so they signed the young guy Malcolm. Corey Crawford, he won what did he win? Two-time Stanley Cup champion. He's third in wins.
3 times. Didn't he win 3 times with him? Or was it 2?
Was he there? I think he was there only for 2 of them.
Okay.
I may be wrong. But he's third in wins in Blackhawks history. So, and he was pretty devastated, but they did offer him a contract, but he says there wasn't much negotiation. And so then I guess finally the Blackhawks were like, you know what, it's time for us to go younger. Corey Crawford had been hurt. There have been some other issues, but he was very devastated. And it is it's starting to break up the quote unquote core or an end of an era, end of an era.
I think
it might be an error too.
I mean, he shared most of the time the past 3 seasons,
Yeah, so it was probably time, but it's hard for most people if it's been your home, and for a lot of fans, it's gonna be like, oh, because sometimes he was so disrespected for as well as he did, and a lot of times fans didn't even realize how good he was until he wasn't there because he was out because he was hurt or something. And they were like, wow, okay, he really was.
Yeah, he mattered. You know what I mean? He mattered.
But they had to get young because they aren't winning like they used to.
I mean, old athletes generally aren't that successful.
And the city had gotten, and the players, they had gotten used to, winning.
Yeah.
Maybe not, it wasn't always a championship, but now they weren't even competitive. Like,
they weren't making
getting knocked out of the playoffs the first round, that type of stuff. So it might be time.
I mean, it is. And I think the only issue people had was, how it was done, not that it was done, but there's always going to be, talk about that. That's,
but he definitely he has a legacy here that will remain strong.
Absolutely. Hopefully he stays around the city. Like most of the athletes who spend a lot of time here in Chicago end up kind of staying here. You know what I mean? Or
he still has a career. He's going to go play someplace.
He'll play someplace, but guys will go play someplace, but still like, oh, yeah, I still have my house in Chicago. Like, you look at a lot of the old Bulls who were like, yeah, I still live there, but Will Purdue, I think, still lives here. Hazelcrest, ain't he?
Bill Winnington?
Hazelcrest?
No, not
Will Purdue?
Bill Winnington, too?
I don't know. I thought Will Purdue lives someplace else, but maybe he does live here.
I think Bobby Hanson's out in Markham, though, if I'm not correct.
No!
Markham?
What? Markham's on the come up. Okay, so
Bobby Hanson.
Reaching with that. So, okay, let's wrap it up with some.
Bush was in Inglewood?
I mean, I said Inglewood. I said Markham. Come on. All right, let's wrap it up with some Bears predictions. They got these Panthers on Sunday. Is it the 12 o'clock game still? Or I believe it's 12 o'clock.
It's a noon.
Still a noon game unless something different happens. And unless we didn't mention this, one of the Atlanta Falcons players tested positive for COVID. The Panthers played the Falcons last week. So, there's still kind of that in the air.
Someone from their team they are doing the protocol with someone.
Yeah, so we're just going to act like they're still playing, but there's still a little time before that happens or doesn't. So, T-Nick, what are your predictions for Sunday?
Well, I think that the Bears are gonna win, but I think the defense needs to carry the momentum that they built the last game into this game. So I'm thinking that they'll win like 24-17, maybe. It's not going to be a high scoring game. It's never going to be a high scoring game.
Never. Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. Because the defense is still stingy. They give up the big plays, which makes you feel like, oh, they're struggling.
Right.
But then when you look at how many points they give up, one of the top red zone defenses in the league, which, holding a team to 0 versus, 7 is nice. But even if you just hold them to 3 versus 7, that's pretty good too. Kristen, what is your prediction for Sunday?
So I went back and forth on if I even thought the Bears were going to win.
I don't know if I've ever heard you say that.
Yeah, but I'm going to go with the Bears winning. And I'm going to go with them winning 20-17.
Nice, safe number. I think that might have been my number for last week's game. I think me and Kristen, we were pretty close.
Yeah, you all were.
Yeah. So, all right. I'm going to break the internet or break my computer at least.
Uh-oh.
And I am predicting, because they're on the road, and I know there's, the fans and whatnot in the stands, but still on the road to travel and whatnot. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to pick the Panthers.
What?
Yeah, because I think Teddy Bridgewater can move more than what a lot of people think he can. He's been taking his time with testing that mobility, and we haven't really faced any mobile quarterbacks like that. And I think the fact that this is probably like really the first like possibly real mobile threat, And Teddy, he's going to need to do that with McCaffrey out because he needs another weapon. And I think that's going to give the defense some problems. They're not going to score a lot of points. You don't need to score a lot of points to beat the Bears. What do we lose to the Colts? Like, whatever, 1-2 or some shit. But, so I think that's going to give them some
negative
problems.
yards.
Right. I think that's going to give them some little problems. And I just don't see Nagy letting go of his stubbornness of not running the game, even though they have a poor run defense. I don't see him doing the right thing. Always do the right thing.
Begging for it. This game is begging for the running game to
begging
make
for
an
it. Even more of a reason for him not to do it because they're begging for it. Okay, that's our coach. But hey, all right. So that's our time for the day, and signing out once again. This is the Chicago Clubhouse podcast. This is the sports show where we think we know what we're talking about, but proven again we don't know shit. Emilio Buck signing off for Kristen Petit and the Notorious T. Nick. Bear down, and we'll catch y'all next week.